are you all plowed out? You okay?
Yeah, they're doing their thing. But I hear that we're supposed to have another storm coming up
Yep.
this weekend, maybe, possibly.
Yes. That's what I heard.
Yeah, everybody's thinking, oh, well, I'll stay home and in the comfort of my home and listen on Zoom.
Yep, that's what people do nowadays. That's true. This reminds me of when I was a student in Amsterdam. I was on a fellowship, and
What is a fellowship?
fellowship's when you get paid to study.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
it's like a scholarship?
Yeah, it was a little over a year I was there, and I worked at a church. I was an intern at a church in the heart of Amsterdam. It's one of two churches where the pilgrims left from to come here.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So, yeah.
I thought they left from Plymouth, England.
No, they were in Amsterdam, and then they were on a boat that wasn't very seaworthy, so they stopped back in England.
Oh,
But they were English. They were British. English. And they left because they wanted religious freedom. They had it, religious freedom in Amsterdam. They didn't like Dutch kids.
oh.
It was
Why not?
too much chaos. Well, Dutch kids are very, very, very confident. They raise them that way. They still do. So they're not terribly well behaved.
Oh, okay.
And the English had a real problem with that. So, so they.
How do you know that? Is that in the history books?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. The Dutch, that's a common, thing they talk about there. Yeah, in our history books, we read that the English were in search of religious freedom, so they came to America. That's not true. They had religious freedom in Amsterdam because it's very tolerant there. Still is, more or less.
So they're similar to the Scandinavians then, the Dutch.
Yeah, well, and Germans. Yeah, Germans, Scandinavians. Yeah. Yeah, very progressive thinkers, very independent. This attitude we get in New York City, what are you talking about? That comes from the Netherlands. They're still like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What are you going to do about it,
The New York attitude.
Yeah, the attitude remains. People don't know that either, but if you go to New York and then go to Amsterdam, it's very similar. Anyway, part of my fellowship was to study at the Free University. So I had one professor, and it was just like this. It was one-on-one. We were across from a table with each other. Bastian Van Elderen was his name. He's dead now. And then I had a one-on-one with the president of my seminary in Holland, Michigan, who happened to be on sabbatical in Amsterdam. So I studied with him in his apartment, one-on-one. So it was a little scary. There's no place to hide. So when you're sitting here, it kind of reminds me of it a little bit.
Did you like that?
Loved it. Yeah. Loved it. Yeah. Once you get over the fear. Yeah. Just two of us for a year with Hesslink, who was the president of my seminary back in Michigan. He was there for 6 months. So, but the other one was on faculty at the Free University. So, Yeah.
So you could have had a very good education.
I've had a fantastic education. I think I'm a bit of a disappointment. The people that invested, but here I am. Yeah, I was really lucky. I had really great professors in Michigan too, really great. And great mentors too, brilliant people. And lovely, nice, solid citizens. Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see if we can do something with it today. It's 11 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm going to wait 2 more minutes and see who shows up.
Well, Ruth sometimes shows up late.
Yeah, and Karen also might be here. I don't think Grace Rose is going to risk it. Helen's not going to come. She's probably watching right now as we speak. But what I can do is we're gonna look at Acts 13 today. Well, no, we'll take a look at 9. Okay. And 8. Okay, for those of you who are watching at home, I'm going to start. We're going to take a look at Paul, St. Paul, or Saul, before he was a Christian and changed his name. He got his name changed. We're going to look at Acts chapter 7, verse 54, and we'll take a look at Paul first of all in terms of his own story, what happened to him. And then if we have a little time, we'll talk a little bit about how he started to formulate a theology of Jesus being the Christ, the Messiah, and how he starts to do theology. But I think the first having to do with his own biography, his own story should probably come first, because they're intertwined. What happens to us as people often gets translated in how we see God, in our relationship with God. Is the world a trustworthy place? Is it a place of fear? Is it a place of hope? Is it a place of confidence? When we course through our lives, we make these determinations largely based on our experiences. I think so. And then we translate that into a worldview, or in Paul's case, a worldview and his theology. So, and he certainly does that. We'll try to make a little bridge between those two, what happened to him and what he thought about it. Okay? Why don't we get started, and we'll take a look at Acts chapter 7, starting with 54. This is the story of the stoning of Stephen. He was the first deacon And in my tradition, deacons don't preach, but in the early church, Stephen certainly did. He was first deacon. Deacons originally were people, Christians, converts to Christianity, who took care of pastoral care, let's say, people who need to be fed, people who needed some money. The elders, the apostles later on, or earlier on, the apostles were inundated by people. We had converts by the thousands. And so they needed to have a division of labor with leadership. So the apostles took over kind of the teaching, worship side of things. And deacons, that was a new title. A deacon would then take care of the needs, the practical needs of the people. So, we're talking about a brand new organization, if you will, or institution, if you want to call it that. So there are the idea guys over here, the apostles, and then there's the deacons. But in this case, the deacons, at least one did, Stephen, preached. So he gave this sermon to believers and to Jewish leaders who were there about his understanding of Jesus, the importance of Jesus, the crucifixion, especially who killed him. So he's starting to point a finger, and it enraged the Jewish leadership. And so Stephen also becomes the first martyr. The first Christian martyr was Stephen, the deacon, and for what he said in his sermon. So, Karen, I'm going to put you to work today. Okay, so let's read 7:54 through 8:1. We'll start with that, and we'll get to know a little bit about Stephen. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give the waterfront version of, what happened to Saul or St. Paul. Okay, want to give it a shot?
When they heard these things, they became enraged and ground their teeth at Stephen. But filled with the Holy Spirit, he gazed into heaven and saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. Look, he said, I see the heavens opened and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. But they covered their ears with a loud shout, all rushed together against him. And then they dragged him out of the city and began to stone him. And the witnesses laid their coats at the feet of the young man named Saul. While they were stoning Stephen, he prayed, Lord Jesus, receive my spirit. Then he knelt down and cried out in a loud voice, Lord, do not hold this sin against them. When he had said this, he died, and Saul approved of their killing him.
Okay, so Saul, later St. Paul, was there at the stoning of Stephen.
This is before he was converted.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the kind of person he was. He was, he was part of the Jewish leadership at the time. As I said before, he studied under Gamaliel. He didn't study under Bastian Van Elderen like I did. He studied under Gamaliel, who was the teacher in Jerusalem. And he was among those who were really, it says, enraged to hear what Stephen said, who also forgave them while they were doing it. And Saul approved of their killing him. So that made Stephen the first martyr, and Saul was definitely a part of it. It says that he's a young man here, but I don't know how young he was. I don't think he was that young, anyway. So now we're going to zip over to Acts chapter 9. So we're starting to get a feel for Paul and his zeal for his own faith and his zeal to wipe out, snuff out the Christian faith. Why is it that good new things always get killed off, it seems? Why is that?
Because people are set in their ways. And they learn to have that one way of thinking.
Yeah, it's unsettled.
And they don't want to be challenged by anything new that comes in.
This is what we know. This is what we're going to stick with. Yeah.
Right.
There's also this thing about power. You know, power will not give up power. Those in power will not give up power unless it's taken from them. And it's very unusual for someone to step down from power by their own volition. George Washington did it. He just, he was president of the United States, and then he was done, so he just went home. Those around him, a number of them, wanted to make him a king. And he said, no, that's not what this is all about. This is not what America's about. It's a democracy. So he went home to Mount Vernon. I think it's a terribly classy thing. It's so different from what's happening now. What's his name, our president? Donald Trump wants to be king. It's the exact reverse of what George Washington was all about.
What does he say when people say that of him? They
Well-
must,
Well, I think there are people around him that also derive power from him being president. So they have derivative power by virtue of their being in the White House or running agencies or whatever. And people get drunk with power, absolutely inebriated with power, and we see that. We see that a lot on both sides of the aisle, but this is a particularly worrisome development in American history, is we've got this maniacal tyrant who's basically a mob boss who wants to stay in power. So that's why he talks about having a third term, and he's going to run riot over the laws of the land. So we've always had tyrants. We just have never really had a good one in the United States, but we've got a good one right now. We got a good tyrant. So, thank God he's not that smart. He's cunning, but he's not very smart. And thank God he's not. But there are people around him who are. And that makes for a very dangerous situation. So people get shot. We always thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's almost like the Nazi. We're going back
Yeah,
to the Nazi.
yeah, it's the brown shirts. Yeah. The ICE agents are the brown shirts of America, and so and their masks, and they're cowards, I think. So, but when you have a gun and a mask, you can do a lot. So that's what's going on today, and it's just shocking that it would happen in this country. But maybe we've been sliding for a while. But I think most of us thought, if you're white, okay, they're going to go after blacks. We've been doing that for centuries, and we're used to that. I mean, we don't have the outrage when that happens very often. Sometimes we do. With George Floyd, for instance, we did. But usually, that's just common activity in America, is killing black people. Then we thought, well, they'll go after Latinos, right? Also people of color. So we kind of have a blind eye toward that too, as far as outrage. We don't have the same outrage. But now they're killing white people. And now it's a big deal. And ICE seems to be backing off. Trump seems to be backing off from that sort of thing. But it'll happen again. He's probing, is what he's doing. Where's the soft spots in America that he can dominate? And, he'll just keep...
I don't think he'll ever do it in New York City.
Well, we'll see what happens, right? Yeah, we'll see what happens in New York. I can't see that going well.
No, absolutely.
I don't think that's going to go well. But then, then you have violence on the streets and so on. So, anyway, this book, a lot of people read the Bible without really an awareness that so much of it has to do with power. And so we've got a movement going on here, the Christian movement, the church, the brand new church. Thousands of people are stepping up and wanting to be Christians, and things are getting out of hand from the point of view of those who are already in leadership. They don't like it, and so and Saul is a part of all this, and he thinks that if they can stamp it out quickly, then it'll be over and we can get back to normal again. It's not going well. Can it be stopped? Can the kingdom of God be thwarted? Will the kingdom of God, the good news of God, it's good news, the gospel, can it be thwarted? It's a good question. The framers of the Constitution said that there are inalienable rights of human beings: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We were talking about it on Monday. Is that true? Is that true that all human beings, not just Americans, but all human beings, do they have inalienable rights? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Says who? Donald Trump would say no. We don't have those inalienable rights. Life, he's taking life. Liberty, he wants to squash liberty. And the pursuit of happiness. Doesn't like that. This is a person who was, as a child, got everything he ever wanted except love. And so he's turned to darkness. He's given himself over to darkness, I think, because of that reason. But he's challenging the basic tenets of how we see human beings in this, as far as the framers of the Constitution. All human beings, not just Americans. We'll see how it goes.
Well, he has that face that do put him on a pedestal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there are a lot of Americans that would say, no, you don't have those rights. You don't have those rights. No. It's not a given in terms of what a human being is. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. MAGA would say, no, that's not true. Might be true for us, but it's not true for you.
Well, when he was shot, he was raising his fist, and what was he saying? Freedom?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, it's just
that's what he was saying.
Well, it's freedom for him to do whatever he wants. Yeah, it's license to do whatever you want. Yeah, it's a perversion of what human beings are. It's a perversion every day, all day. This is all we see, is a perverted sense of what a human being should look like and act like. So I'm so glad this is being recorded. Terrific. But that's the way it is. Okay, so, all right, so we've got this person, Saul, who is just maniacal, out of control, vicious, angry, vindictive. I'm talking about Saul now, not the president. Just a hammer. All he ever has in his hand is a hammer, and he uses it no matter what the nail looks like. He's going to use a hammer. And this is what, so he's going to go from town to town to town to try to kill this thing called people of the way, the church. He's going to clean house, and that's what he's doing. He's just, he's basically like an ICE agent. Yeah, he goes in and defending God, right? Like God needs to be defended. If you need to defend God, please get another one, because any God worth of salt should not need to be defended. You see what I mean? Just get another one. Get a better one. So he's going to defend the faith. He's going to go in there. He's like the Taliban. He's like the KKK. He's like Trump. You want to kill off this stuff. And so this is what's going to happen. So Acts chapter 9, Karen, if you just want to read it, verse 1 through 9, take a look at that.
The conversion of Saul?
Yeah, let's see what happens to him.
Meanwhile, Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord, went to the high priest and asked him for letters to the synagogues at Damascus, so that if he found any who belonged to the way, men or women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. Now as he was going along and approaching Damascus, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" He asked, "Who are you, Lord?" The reply came, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. But get up and enter the city, and you will be told what you are to do." The men who were traveling with him stood speechless because they heard the voice but saw no one. Saul got up from the ground and though his eyes were open, he could see nothing. So they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. For 3 days he was without sight and neither ate nor drank.
Okay, so what happened to old Saul?
He was without sight.
Yeah.
And he was struck by, lightning.
And words, right? So he's going to go to Damascus. He goes to the high priest. He's part of the religious power, the powerful religious in Jerusalem. He talks to, right, the high priest. Is that who he talks to? Yeah, he went to the high priest and asked for letters so he can go persecuting these new Christians in Damascus. This is Syria, right? So he's going to go to Syria. And on his way, he hears this voice. And the people around him heard it too. So he is going as an emissary of the religious in Jerusalem. Is there anything higher than religion? This is one of these strange stories. Is God higher than religion?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, religion is a man-made institution. We do that here. We do the best we can to have worship and rhythms of our week. We have Bible studies. There's a religious institution tries to provide. We do. So our people and people that come here can have a first-hand experience with God, but we're not God. You see that, right? a lot of people, they fuse the idea of religion with God. They're not the same. You hope that religion will help you have a relationship with God, but we're not God. A lot of people think that's not true. A lot of people fuse those things when they say...
Because they've gone to institutions that instilled them.
Yeah. And so did Saul.
That they're so close to God.
Yeah.
That, these are the rules. It's very legalistic.
Yeah. We're going to do this, and this. Yeah. And so much of it is human construct. What we would say human construct. I think religion can be a good thing if you're doing that, but religion also can be incredibly sick, and we see that throughout history. We see it in our country, like the KKK. I mentioned the KKK before. They would fuse the church with God, and it's just not the same. And this story also is like that. You've got a person who studied under Gamaliel, who was a fabulously educated Pharisee, completely dedicated to the Jewish traditions, the laws, and everything else. And he runs into this voice, or this voice finds him, and it blows him to bits. He can't see, he doesn't eat. He's been mastered in this instance. I have a master's in divinity. I always thought that was the most absurd degree you could possibly get. You don't master divinity, you get mastered. So it's the total reverse of what it portends to be. But yeah, so that's what's going on here. There is a God that is above religions. Do you know Joe Walker Percy, the blues artist? He's one of my favorite.
No.
He's got a song called "The Gift," and one of the lines in "The Gift" is it's about his mother talking to him about straightening his life out, and his mother says to him, "There's a power out there somewhere. You better find it before it finds you." And in this case, the power finds Saul. So he's not converted yet, but he's kind of destroyed in a sense at this point.
Well, how old was he when this happened?
We don't really know. I mean, they say he was a young man at the stoning of Stephen. I don't know what a young man means. He's not a teenager. He's gone through his education. So I don't know. He's
Probably 30.
in his 30s, maybe, something like that. It's a mystery to me and others how he never met Jesus. He's heard about him. I'm certain of that. But he's never met him, and he never talks about meeting him until this event, if you can call that a meeting. He's not meeting a physical Jesus. But for some reason, he never met in the flesh Jesus. So, but he meets him here on the way to Damascus. He has a epiphanetic experience, meaning he's ruined. Yeah. Okay.
So this just brought him to his knees.
Yeah, absolutely brought him to his knees. Now, here's the other side of it. This is another interesting side of this is starting at verse 10 through 19. You want to read that? Well, let's see what happens to him.
Now there was a disciple in Damascus named Ananias. The Lord said to him in a vision, "Ananias." He answered, "Here I am, Lord." The Lord said to him, "Get up and go to the street called Straight, and at the house of Judas look for a man of Tarsus named Saul. At At this moment he is praying, and he has seen a vision, a man named Ananias come in and lay his hands on him so that he might regain his sight. But Ananias answered, Lord, I have heard from many about this man, how much evil he has done to your saints in Jerusalem. And here he has authority from the chief priests to bind all who invoke your name. But the Lord said to him, Go, for he is an instrument whom I have chosen to bring my name before Gentiles and kings, and before the people of Israel. I myself will show him how much he must suffer for the sake of my name. So Ananias went and entered the house. He laid his hands on Saul and said, Brother Saul, the Lord Jesus, who appeared to you on your way here, has sent me so that you may regain your sight and be filled with the Holy Spirit. And immediately something like scales fell from his eyes, and his sight was restored. Then he got up and was baptized, and after taking some food, he regained his strength.
Okay. So Ananias, he's a part of the story too, right? He would have been bound and taken back to Jerusalem from Damascus. Paul was after people like him. Do I have that right? I think so. And they knew about him. He's on his way. The Christians in Damascus knew about Saul. He's coming. He's coming for us. Right? So they're scared out of their minds because they heard about Stephen too, I'm sure, that he was stoned to death. So, we've got this evil person coming our way, and he's going to destroy us. So they're, I don't know, are they hiding? Are they, they must be terrified this person's coming because he's got permission from the high priest to be there. He's got the papers. What do you call that? When you can go into a house.
A warrant?
Yeah, he's got a warrant. Yeah, he can go in any place he wants. Grab anybody he wants, bind him up, take him back to Jerusalem, put him under trial. Sound familiar? Yeah,
Yes, very
right?
familiar.
I mean, ICE agents can come into this building. This is not a sanctuary. They can't, they can come in. They can come in. They have the paperwork. Yeah, they can come in and take whoever they want. Yeah. That's the world, that's the country we live in right now. We're in a police state.
Yeah.
It's a police state. Yeah. East Germany was like that. The Soviet Union's like that. China's like that. And now we're like that. And so, and this was like that too. It's so contemporary, isn't it? I mean, these stories are real. But Ananias, he has a vision, and it's hospitality and healing. The Lord comes to him too in a vision. Saul is coming, and you're going to go help him. And these are crazy visions. Who would do that? Somebody that's already either in hiding or will be when he shows up. They're going to hide, probably. But he gets this vision. No, this is not what you're going to do. You're going to have courage, and you're going to go heal this guy and pray for him. Odd, right?
Yes.
It's an odd, gracious.
Big turnaround.
Yeah, big turnaround, but it takes it takes the person who would be persecuted to do ministry to the persecutor. It's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, the person with all the power and the papers is going to be the one who's going to be cared for. It's an odd story. Okay, and so that's what happens. Saul stays there for several days, and he starts to preach about Jesus. He's going to learn from other Christians what it means, who Jesus was, what he did, what he said. He needs to be reoriented because he's a hateful person, and he has to become something else. So what I thought today, with that as sort of the background, to take a look at 1 Corinthians 13. And this chapter, 1 Corinthians 13, is something you hear regularly at weddings, and it's called the love chapter. And I thought we'd just read that whole chapter, 1 Corinthians 13. Are you there, Karen?
Oh, 1 Corinthians?
1 Corinthians 13.
The gift of love.
Yeah, you want to read that?
Okay.
It's not very long.
If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. But as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part, but when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part, then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, and the greatest of these is love.
So we go from someone who's approving of stoning to death Stephen to this. It's quite a transformation. How does that work?
So would Gamaliel feel the same way as Saul? Would he advise people to do that followed him, to stone unbelievers of his way of thinking? Or was
It's a good question.
Or was Saul just really overly zealous in his adherence to the law?
It's a great question. Yeah, dotted throughout the Old Testament are sins against God deserving stoning, being put to death. Did that happen very often? No, it didn't, even though somebody might be accused and convicted of it. They still didn't do it very often. Otherwise, you're going to run out of rocks after a while. So I don't know what Gamaliel would say. He's in the New Testament too. He's a wise person. He was one of the people that they were, talking about the new church, this new thing that was happening. And he said, well, if it's of God, you can't stop it. If it's not of God, it'll peter out. But there are always those that want to keep their religion pure. They become fanatics, right? Like the Taliban, like the KKK, like Christian nationalists are like that, where they want to keep it pure, so they become vindictive and vicious, and they are all of them. And throughout history, it's been like that too. Pick a religion. There's that side of every religion that tends to be murderous, let's say. So I don't know if Paul was definitely in that camp, but then he becomes this other person, this other kind of person. He's always kind of a bit narcissistic, I would say. Paul is, but he turns into this person of grace. I don't know if you get that way when you get older, and not everyone does, it seems to me. But he has a dramatic change of heart. So we can write that. This is a first-class hater who writes this chapter about love and to the Corinthian church. They were pretty haughty too. They were full of themselves, a lot of them. And he said, just because you have a great education, just because you have some money, you have some power, but if you don't have love, what's the point of it? So a lot of people would ask the question, and he will, what is the end of all this? What's the end of our lives? And I think, I'm pretty sure Paul would say it's becoming a loving person. Even if you live in a world that's not very loving. So that's Paul. That's his own kind of personal journey. Next week we will talk about his theology. How does he frame this up? Who is this person? Jesus. Why is he important? What did he do? Why is this important? The so what of Christianity. You can talk about somebody like Abraham Lincoln. Know a lot about his life, and then you get to the end of his story, and say, well, so what? What's that got to do with me? And that's what Paul is going to do too. This is what occurred. What's the importance of it? What's the meaning and importance of it for the rest of us? And without Paul, we would struggle to answer that. And he will frame that up in such a way, theologically, where we can be offered some light on this matter, this person of Jesus. So that's what we'll do next week. Okay? I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah. Karen, thanks for coming, and thanks everyone for watching at home. I hope everybody's staying warm. Karen risked her life to come here, so. I guess I did too. We'll see you next week.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.